The best bodybuilder in the world right now is Sam.
I disagree.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with Rubiel Mosquera aka Nexzilla, one of the biggest freaks getting ready for his first ever Mr. Olympia. So this has to be one of those pictures taken during the last prep, and this picture of Rubiel hitting the side tricep, that just alone goes to show us why his side shorts can compete with the best of the best in the world. So a whole lot of credit goes to Chris Cormier for helping Rubiel in terms of posing and presentation and helping him perfect that aspect of bodybuilding. Because for a guy of that size, the man poses very well. Plus, he has a super midsection and he has amazing control on the stage. I mean, you are looking at a guy who pulls an amazing vacuum, being 290 pounds on the stage. And that is something which is very impressive. So Rubiel had two back-to-back wins this year. And the guys who he beat in both these shows, they were Andrea Presti in Italy and Nathan Diesha in Portugal. And both these guys have been on the Olympia stage multiple times. So that was a big statement by Rubiel, that he will consistently be making it to the big stage every single year. Now at this point we do not know whether he will be able to get more separation and detail in his quads from the front. But it's a very simple fact. If he does, sky could be the limit for him. But on the other hand, it could just be his genetics, and he might never be able to achieve that. The man just carries way too much muscle mass, way too much size, and that is simply why he cannot be ignored. And on top of all that, he is just 29 years old. And the one thing we noticed about him in this past season is that the more he diets, the better and more detailed he gets. Because we saw from Dubai Pro, his first show of the season, to Portugal Pro, he made some massive overall improvements in terms of his conditioning and the detail. So hopefully this guy doesn't become a victim of having those visa problems. Because we saw him facing the same issues last year when he was going for the Arnold, and he was unable to get his US visa. So hopefully this time, this won't be a problem. Before you scroll or blink too hard, have you subscribed yet? Please don't make me bring out the emotional blackmail. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. It's free, it's painless, and that makes me look way cooler than I actually am. So this upcoming Tampa Pro, which is happening this weekend, that is going to be one of the most unpredictable shows of this year. And right now we are looking at one of the most genetically gifted guy who is gonna be there in this lineup. And that is Quinton Beastwood. And these are his 3 days out physique updates. Now for all the people who were pointing out that he isn't gonna be in shape and that he is behind, when he dropped those updates about 2.5 weeks out from this show, well, I must say he changed pretty damn fast. The skin texture now is looking super thin. But that being said, once again, we are witnessing that same thing with Quinton. The frame is so big that he's gonna get that same feedback to put on more muscle, to put on more mass. And in addition to that, Quinton is still lacking that dense muscle look. He doesn't look thick enough for that kind of frame for whatever reason. But this is a first color physique, and there is no doubt about that. And that thigh gap that Quinton was having when he prepped with Matt Jensen for the New York Pro last year, that gap is totally filled out. And that means his quads overall, they're gonna look much bigger and much fuller and much complete on the stage. And with 3 days to fill out, he must be running on low carbs. And if he hits his peak right, gets harder and fuller, just like he did for Toronto Pro last year, then there is a chance that Quinton might come out victorious for this show, and he might get his Olympia qualification. So he's the biggest guy on the stage, as he is gonna be stepping on the stage at 270 pounds. And just take a look at those deep separations, especially in his quads. So job very well done so far in terms of coaching himself. And hopefully we're gonna see him doing more shows this year. And there is a high likelihood that he's gonna get better the longer he stays on diet. The former Mr. Olympia champion Brendan Carey checks in at a little over 10 weeks out from this year's Mr. Olympia, looking all round and very 3D. And Brendan is the guy who is definitely gonna move up some spots at this year's Mr. Olympia. So he was 9th at the Olympia last year, which was his lowest placing since 2016, all because he started his prep for the Olympia last year very late. And he was trying to play catch up, especially in terms of that lost size while prepping. And that just did not work in his favor. But that being said, this time, Brandon has been able to stay very huge and very massive throughout this year. He brought an amazing look to this year's Arnold, Ohio, and he crushed the dreams of multiple young guys who were aiming to beat him at that show. And there is a whole lot of respect for guys like Brandon and also William Bonac. And Brandon in particular, as he has been competing for more than 15 years now. And we saw him placing top 4 in the world at this past Arnold. And that we all know was a very competitive lineup. And then we saw Brandon looking absolutely massive, standing next to Derek and Samson Dauda for that Battle of the Olympia video. And all these factors are pointing towards one thing. He was eating big all throughout this off-season and training very hard. And those top 6 guys, they must not sleep on him. So the one show that he did this year with his new coach, that was the Arnold. And that was a massive success. Brandon brought a great combination of size and dryness. And the Olympia package, that is going to be even better. So do you guys have Brandon in your top 6 for this upcoming Mr. Olympia? So there is a solid reason why it's not just Milos Sarcev, the coach of Behrooz Tabani, who believes that Behrooz Tabani could potentially place as high as top 6 in the world. Just take a look at his most recent physique update at 11 weeks out from this year's Mr. Olympia. The man has that insane V-taper, great muscle fullness. Every shot is a stellar shot for him, especially in this particular update. As his biggest weakness, they are his squats from the front. Now, it's highly unlikely that his squats from the front, they will ever turn out to be his strength, because that is more or less a genetic issue for him. But that being said, let's just assume for a second that Behrooz Tabani finds that perfect balance, top to bottom. In that case, there is no reason to doubt why Behrooz Tabani cannot fight for that Olympia top 3 in the future. None of us thought that his quads were the best. At this past Dubai Pro Show, Tony Burton had the roundest, most 3D and most bubbly looking quads in that entire lineup. But Behrouz's upper body, that is so wide and so big, it's kind of difficult to take your eyes off him. And on top of all that, the man always comes in rock hard, dry, and in a superb conditioning. And the highest placing guy at Dubai Pro, that was William Bonac, and he was top 7 at the Olympia last year. And Behrooz Tabani has been consistently beating William Bonac in the last couple of years. So there is no Hunter Labrala this time. But that being said, this time Nick is gonna be back. But fingers crossed for Behrooz Tabani. Hopefully he gets his US visa this time. And if he does, then there is a void that he can fill and fight for a place maybe in that first call out.
So look, that's Derek as this year is the #1 bodybuilder in the world. Nick almost beat him. So, you know, I think it's certainly not out of the question.
Hold on with your commentary there. Timeout. Samson is the #1 bodybuilder in the world. The Olympia is what ranks the bodybuilders.
A great debate between Ian Valier and Fuad on who right now is the best bodybuilder this year. Is Derek Lunsford the best bodybuilder in the world because he just beat the reigning Olympia champion Samson Dauda? Or is Samson still the best in the world unless he loses the Olympia title come October? I think we can all agree that Mr. Olympia is the competition that we all take as a standard to crown the very best in the world. And this has always been this way. And unless Derek beats Samson Dauda in October, Samson right now is the best in the world. And he's gonna enter this upcoming Mr. Olympia as the favorite to win it. And if he peaks 100% right, there is no reason to doubt that Samson is gonna win another Sandow. And we aren't even talking about that 2024 Olympia winning physique that wasn't him at his 100%. Samson has not unlocked his full potential just yet. Now in terms of the overall conditioning, he can still do a lot better. He can come in more drier and more ripped. And I guess this is what he has been working on throughout this time after the Arnold.
As of now, Derek won the Arnold Classic. He beat the reigning Olympia champion, and then he beat Nick
at the Olympia to the Olympia. It doesn't go from January to January. The best bodybuilder in the world right now is Samson.
I disagree.
What do you think?
From the standpoint of Olympia?
Well, that's the standpoint we all use.
But
if you count in 2025, you did beat Samson.
Yes.
Well, yeah, well, Samson was off on Friday night. What are you going to do?
Oh, no.
You're only...
So I guess Ian was making a case for Derek because he did beat Samson Dauda, not only on Friday, but also on Saturday, the finals of the Arnold, where Samson came back very strong. But he still lost to Derek, although by just 1 point. So the reigning Mr. Olympia should be regarded the best bodybuilder in the world until he loses that title. Because the fans of the Mutant, they can also say that Nick almost beat Derek at the Pittsburgh Pro and Derek beat Samson Dauda at the Arnold. Does that make Nick the best bodybuilder in the world right now? Well, I'm gonna say obviously not. But let me know what you guys think. And also hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video. And smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.